What's up, Peach Posse?
This is Anna.
This is Taylor.
Welcome to the Naked Peaches podcast.
I love your hair today, Anna.
Thank you. It was really greasy, so I had to do a little half up, half down situation, and I'm feeling it.
You look
feeling
so
a little
cute.
Spicy. Thank you.
You look like a 90s queen.
Thank you. How have you been since last week?
Good. So I tried, this is actually a 2-week-old update, but I tried one of Melanie's tips, and I was like too sleep deprived when we were recording in LA to even remember to talk about this. But when I asked Melanie about like initiating sex and how I have a hard time with that, she made the suggestion that I spend like 20 minutes alone and get myself in the mood, which I was like, it's never occurred to me to do that. But I tried it. And I even told Colin, I was like, this is the tip she gave me. So like, you know, if I tell you I need like 20 minutes alone, like, you know what it means.
Oh.
So I like went into my bedroom and I like put on like my pole dancing playlist. I put on like a sexy outfit. I lit a candle. I like, you know, just like did a little dance for myself in the mirror.
Wow.
And like, once things went a little further than that, I was like, okay, I'm going to text him. And I was just like, come upstairs. And it was great. And
Did he love it?
Yeah, I mean, of course he loved it. I was like already excited when he got up there.
Perfect.
And I feel like I felt more into it, like even more into it when we were having sex because I had already kind of like gotten the juices flowing. So I liked that tip. And now whenever he initiates, like he'll start and then he'll be like, do you need 20 minutes alone? Sometimes
really
I'm
cute,
like,
though.
no, I don't. Like, I'm fine. And
Yeah.
then sometimes I do. But it's like a nice thing to just like have as an option.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I should try that. That sounds like fun.
You should. It
Yeah.
was. And I also feel like it gives you get more out of the outfits, the sexy outfits that you own, because like usually those outfits come off pretty quickly, I feel
Immediately.
like. So it's nice to be like, I'm going to have my moment in this outfit, you know? I'm
Yeah.
going to like dance in the mirror. I'm going to take a selfie and then I'll take it off in 20 minutes when I'm ready.
Yeah, and for the most part, like, I like, when I buy them because I like that. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
he'll like them no matter what. And so,
Yeah.
I want to wear it. I want to just, like, look at myself wearing it.
Exactly.
Okay.
I also took one of Allison's tips
Tell
from
me.
last week. So Allison was telling us that you need to just walk around and be like, I am so cute. I'm the hottest girl ever. She was telling us about how she tells her boyfriend, like, I'm the best girl you'll ever date. Like, how does it feel to be, you know, with the hottest girl ever? So I've just been saying to Colin, like, what does it feel like to have the world's hottest wife? Like,
What was his reaction?
he's like, I mean, I thought he would be like, you're insane, but he's like, it's great. Like, so I don't know if it makes me actually believe that I'm the world's hottest wife, but like, I'm going to keep doing it
Yeah.
and see if it has any effect on my confidence.
I think it will over time, you know? It's like
Yeah.
working out, right? Like, 1 week of working out is not going to do anything. But if you're consistent for a year, like, you know.
Yeah, I'll check back with you in a year.
Let us know. Okay, so I also have been implementing the tips that we got from Melanie. So I used the one where she was like, if your mind is like out of it when you're like having sex, it's like that's just a choice. Like you need to just get yourself back into it, basically. And so I was like, oh yeah, duh. So I basically have just been doing that. Like we're having sex. If I start thinking about something else, I'm like, stop doing that. And then I just stop. So it's like, I feel like.
What do you do to get yourself back in the moment? Are you doing like the breathing that she was talking about?
No, but I'm just like literally like let's say we're having sex and then I start thinking about like, you know, the fact that I need to go grocery shopping tomorrow or like something. I'm like, don't think about this right now. Just like be in the moment. Just like think about like what's happening and like how it feels and like kissing or like whatever else. It's just like what's actually happening and not like actively thinking about anything, basically.
Okay, so thinking about how it feels.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah.
And it's been great. And I just feel like
Oh my gosh, I love this
yeah,
for you.
and I feel like while I was doing it, it's like after like a couple times, I just like stopped really like thinking about other things. So I'm like, okay, this is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So look at us.
Oh my gosh, we're growing.
It's for us.
Okay, also, one other thing before we bring on our guest. Recently, we had a former podcast guest and avid listener come to us and say that we're being hypocrites because we tell people not to self-tan before their shoot, but I obviously self-tan. And if you've seen the picture that Anna just posted of me in the garden, I self-tan before shoots. So I just want to set the record straight that self-tanning before a shoot is okay. You just have to know that, like, if you don't ever self-tan and it's your first time doing it, it might look like shit. And so don't do it for the first time ever. And if you are, like, you're new to it, you don't feel confident in your self-tanning abilities, go to just like an airbrush place. Don't go to Palm Beach Tan and get a Booth spray tan.
Yes.
I do not recommend
also
those.
with the airbrush people, like, don't try a new airbrush person right before your shoot. Like, go to somebody that you've been going to and you know how it looks on you, and then do it before the shoot.
Yeah. And also you don't have to be tan. That's only if you feel better when you look tan.
Yes.
So I just want to set the record straight, and we are updating it in our welcome guide so that people won't be confused anymore. So thank you, Megan,
friend of the pod,
calling us out.
we have one more story to share, actually.
Oh yeah.
So we record these a few days early, and today technically our episode came out. That was our Disneyland / Eras Tour recap episode. And Alma, other friend of the pod, texted us because she was really shooketh by Allison's butt plug story. And she had a very terrifying situation too, where she was going and seeing a GI specialist, and they inserted this medieval looking tool. I don't even know how else to explain this. It's so scary looking. It
literally looks like something you would use if you were trying to hurt someone, like kill them.
It's so scary. With a pea-sized amount of lube, which is not enough lube. And she was just like screaming on the table and crying because it was so painful and horrible. And this should be illegal. Like, you should not be allowed to put things up people's butts without a ton of lube.
I know. It should be. We need to email Joe Biden about this.
Like, I'm just even thinking about like when I get a pap smear and that thing is so lubed up. Like, whatever they put in me is so the fact that you're not doing that to someone's butthole,
which
like,
doesn't have natural
doesn't
lubricant.
have any lube. Yeah.
It's honestly, these people are sadists.
It's
like,
so
if you
bad.
are a GI doctor and you're listening, let us know if you went into that field because you like causing people pain in their butts.
DM us immediately, and then we're gonna send you to jail.
Yeah.
No, it's so bad. I'm so scared for her.
We have to post a picture of that.
Yeah, we'll post a picture
tool.
of the tool, and then Posse, let us know if you've ever seen that tool before, and if it was used on you, if you had lube, because I'm like really scared for, like, I just feel like we've heard two very similar stories in a really short amount of time that there has to be so many other people affected by this, and
I'm
it's not
scared
okay.
to ever have a butt issue and go to one of these fucking doctors.
Well, don't you have to start getting like I forgot what they're called, like after 40 or something?
I don't know. I don't know anything about that.
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
No, like when they go up a colonoscopy.
You do?
I thought like everyone's had to start getting.
I'm not doing
like to
it.
check for cancer.
I'm
like
not doing it. I will not participate.
We'll find the one doctor that uses lube, and we can only go to them, and we'll send the whole posse.
Yeah, I think if you're out there and you have a doctor who's good with the lube, let us know so that we can recommend them, send everyone there.
Yes, they can come on the pod. They can talk about it.
Yes, I love that.
Okay. I love this. We should bring our guest on.
Yes, we should. Welcome, Rainey.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you
for
for
joining us.
Of course.
We're obsessed with you. We're so happy that you're here today.
Well, I'm obsessed with both of you, so it's mutual.
Everyone on our team is like in love with you. Like, I feel like all of our followers, when your page got deactivated, we had people DMing us being like, where did she go?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so touched. I know, I felt that. I definitely cried a little bit because I was like, this is so dumb.
That
But
was really tragic.
I'm back.
Yeah.
And, hopefully this page does even better. And I'm glad that people missed me.
Yeah, we missed you.
We
We're
missed
so
you a
happy
lot.
to have you here.
Yeah. Good.
So, okay, how do we describe what Rainey does? You are...
I feel like you are multi-talented. You are
She's a
in
Renaissance
everything.
woman.
Yes. I'm the jack of all trades, truly. I'm a postpartum doula, and I also am a full-service sex worker. Also have had past experience like teaching, instructing dance courses based around sensual empowerment and embodiment. I used to do burlesque performing, performed at festivals for a while too, and, just have done it all.
And you're also like the most incredible model.
Oh yeah, I forgot that.
In the world.
I'm
Yes.
a model too.
Which I think we should start with that first,
Yeah.
because we after the first time working with you, we both went away from that, and we're like, we have never ever ever seen anybody move in front of the
Yes.
camera the way that you move. It's
No,
like every movement you make looks, one, effortless, too beautiful. Like, you could stop mid-movement, any movement, and it would be a good photo. Like, I don't understand how it's when I watched you step out of the tub and you just put in your little toe and stuff, I was just like, what is this? Like, I've never seen this before.
Like, truly the most graceful person
Gosh,
ever.
wow.
Just like, we were like so impressed, and I think we shot for like 40 minutes, which is like
we
really
did not
fast
even
for
need
us.
to shoot that long.
And got so many photos and
many
so much
and videos.
And
Like,
yes.
it's just like so impressive. Like,
Wow,
the way
thank
you
you.
can like control your body.
Yeah. I mean, I feel personally, I mean, I started dancing when I was 4, and then I joined a competitive dance team when I was 7, and I started competing and like traveling up until I was 16. So it's like 9 years of, you know, really having to pay attention to your body and your relationship to it, and also like being on stage, like, you know, the presence you're supposed to hold. And one of my like biggest comments always when I was dancing was just the energy that I would bring to it, that like people would like, I can't not watch you because you just like demand my attention. And then doing like burlesque, I feel like I got to use that so much more, but explore, you know, like more erotic positions, you know, like actually play with my body in a way that wasn't going to be frowned upon. Like in the dance realm, you know, I got to pull down my underwear and, you know, take off my top and figure out what my lines and shapes were really. And I feel like having that really has kind of set the foundation for my modeling work, because now I can just go and just flow through it, and I know what feels good and what looks good because I've spent so much time in front of mirrors and up on stage, to where like it's just feels natural now.
Yeah. Like, it took a lot of effort to get there, but now it looks like you were just like born to do this.
Yes. Yeah. Like, I'm sure I had my awkward, like, baby deer phases where I was like, And then when I first started doing boudoir too, you know, I was very shy and super nervous. I think a lot more so about like what people would think, but also like you just are so much more exposed, you know, like, and you're showing it, like you're showing your body, and not like you don't necessarily when you model in other forms or in styles, but when you're doing boudoir, like you're really embodied and you're sitting there and be like, this is me.
Yeah. And then
I'm
when
not
you
gonna
post
hide
the
it.
pictures, it's like, okay, I'm saying like, look at me,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
Not
like,
scary.
I did this.
Yeah. But then you like get so desensitized to it eventually, and then it's like, who cares who's seen my ass? Like,
Yeah. In the beginning it definitely was kind of like pushing the boulder, you know, up the hill, but it wasn't like I'm only doing that. There is going to be like a place where I can rest, and like it's like, oh, all that work was worth it, because now it's just so easy. And even if I had to go through the phases where it's like, I don't know if I want to do that, or like I don't really want to do nudity. Like, I just barely did my first nude shoot this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when I did the shower shoot, I think that was my second nude shoot I'd ever done.
Oh,
Yeah.
I had
Wait,
no
no,
idea.
you were wearing a
like a
bodysuit in the
bodysuit.
shower
Yeah.
shoot.
But I went full nude, remember? I took it off.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
How could I forget?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
The
like,
iconic
come on, I was
nudie
naked.
stuff. Yeah.
No, you were naked. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was my second nude shoot I've ever
Wow,
done.
I feel so honored that we got to experience it.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. It was such a wonderful experience. But that took a lot of time to work up to.
Yeah.
Because that is a whole other level of comfortability, you know, because lingerie still is, it's accentuating everything. And then once you remove it, it's like, oh my gosh, here's my meat suit.
Yeah.
It seems like even with our content and the stuff that we post, like sometimes people will come in for shoots and they obviously have various comfortability levels with how far they want to go with their boudoir photos. But it is interesting to see the line sometimes of people who are like, they'll wear like a really, even like see-through meshy kind of like lingerie, but they're like, no, I absolutely will not do like nudes or like, you know, sheet poses or anything of that sort. And it's interesting. It's like there's something like comforting about even a little bit of fabric, no matter how sheer it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it keeps you like somewhat hidden still, which, you know, it's really nice when you can get to the other side of that, because I was like, oh, those are real, like they're some of my favorite pictures. Aww. And I love looking at them because it's like, wow. I mean, I think at first I always have, you know, some negative thoughts, you know, about myself, and then with time they go away and I'm able to really appreciate them, but like also just appreciating my body and how beautiful bodies are and how they can be in all their different shapes and forms. So, yeah.
That makes me so happy.
Good. good. Yeah, they make me very happy.
Good.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's such a thing. Like, my first reaction a lot of the time when I see photos of myself is like, immediately I'm picking myself apart and like thinking of the negative things. And then with time, like, I start to appreciate the pictures more. And sometimes I have to like take a break and then come back to the gallery and like look through it again.
Yeah.
And then I can like appreciate it without being like my jowls and all these pictures or whatever it is, you know? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I look through, save my like all-time favorites, and then I put it down, and then 24 hours later I come back and I look again, and then more pictures are appealing to me, and then I do the same thing, and then 24 hours again I do it again, and I pretty much love every picture at that point.
that's such a good idea.
That is a good
It is.
idea.
It's just nice because something I'm like really working on is, instead of viewing like the way I am and my processes as something that's wrong with me, instead viewing them as a part of me, and just like, oh, how can I do things then that work with me, instead of creating this mindset that's like, no, I need to get to the point where I look at every single picture and they're like banger, banger, banger. And maybe I just need the time to let those like insecurities and judgments fall away slowly. And because it takes myself 3 days then why don't I give myself 3 days to look at my pictures and like appreciate them more and more? And it works really, really well.
Yeah.
And yeah, and like, of course, there'll be like the pictures where it's like, it's just not a good angle or whatever. And I'm like, not that stoked. But for the most part, it's about 90% of the photos I will love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Yeah, that's actually
Yeah.
a really good tip.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, I want to go back to the dancing stuff a little
Yeah,
bit, just
absolutely.
because I, for one, don't have an extensive dance background.
Yeah.
But when I look at you pose, I'm like, I want to get near that level. I will
Yeah.
never get to that level, but near that level. So what is something that like just everyday average people can do if they just want to get better at some of that more like graceful, elegant posing, but don't have this amazing dance background that you have?
Yeah. So something I would do a lot in my classes would be structured around choreography I'd put together. But the point of it wasn't for them to master the choreography, for them to look like replicas of me, but to find that movement within themselves and their own comfort level with it. So we did a lot of like modifications for people, but like if someone felt like rolling their head with a position, or flicking their hair, or, you know, touching their leg, I would super encourage that, because it's what their body naturally wants to do, and it's a movement that feels good for them. But we would sit in front of the mirror and just do this like slow flow of movement, which literally could just be posing, and just do that while watching ourselves. And so something I do and like have done for shoots is I have a playlist, I put it on, I will put on some lingerie, or you could just wear bra and underwear, or you could just wear pajamas, like it doesn't really matter, whatever you feel comfortable in. And I just get in front of a mirror and I just kind of like slowly move, and I try poses I've seen people do, but the point of it is for me to watch my body, you know, and practice different angles of my face, you know, like where does this angle really flatter my neck and my jawline, you know, if I move it too low then you lose my neck, you know, things like that. But really just like before a shoot, kind of like, you know, practicing for it, practicing your faces, you know, can I like do the smize? Can I do like the look back? Like what faces do I feel like I really have dialed down, and what faces like don't look so good? Like I really love like licking poses.
You're so good at it.
Yeah.
I have spent hours in front of the mirror licking my hand and my fingers, because you don't know. And like, you know, like some people like bite your lip in a shoot. You can't just go bite your lip,
No.
because not everyone looks good when they bite their lip.
Or their finger.
Yes, or know how, because
Yeah.
if you bite all of your lip, you're gonna like show some of your gum, and then it looks weird. If you bite like too little, it's not gonna really show. It's, you know, it's a whole thing. It's really comes down to practicing, and making the space for that. Yeah, and just like in a non-judgmental space, like if I don't hit a pose, I don't hit a pose, but I can find ways in which I can modify it for my body that would bring me close to that pose, you know? Just like working with yourself and what you have.
Maybe when I'm doing my 20 minutes prep, I can just be posing to myself in front of the mirror the whole time.
Exactly.
Double
Efficiency.
whammy.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'll do that even like for dance stuff too, just getting a nice little warm up, just like watching myself dance, you know, or I've always really been able to get myself going like creatively, sexually too, by imagining myself dancing for someone. And it can even be for yourself. And it can be for someone that, like, you love or care for, or it can be someone completely imaginary. It could be, like, a crowd of people. But just, like, having that performance aspect can, like, really, that just, like, really helps me a lot.
I love that.
Yeah, these are good
I
tips.
feel like maybe it's like a side effect of growing up dancing, but I feel like that's a thing for me too. Like, like it's not even that I want to be performing for a real crowd, but just the idea of this is a performance and someone is watching me and getting something out of it is like, it makes it like more fun.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah. There is, like, you know, exhibitionism and loving to be watched. But, like, my favorite part about performing was the adrenaline rush I'd get before going on stage. And what I love about burlesque is how there's just, like, such a fluid relationship between the performer and the audience, because the audience needs to be engaged. The point of them, like, whooping and hollering is to, you know, boost up the performer so that they do take off something. Or, like, some burlesque performers won't even fully strip if the audience isn't engaged and, like, yelling, because, like, the point of it is for you to want more and to communicate that. And that's what directly kind of fuels that energy, too.
This makes me really want to see a burlesque show.
Oh my gosh, yes. There's some really good ones here.
What are your favorites?
The one I last went to that I really loved is called Dapperlesque, and it's at the Alberta Theater, and it's a gender-bending burlesque experience.
Oh my gosh,
and
fun.
it is so fun. All shapes and sizes. Just so many different acts as well. And it's just, like, all super creative and some, like, really silly stuff. But I really, really liked that one.
That sounds so fun.
Yeah.
And also, like, empowering, too.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I love, like, when I go somewhere and I see someone who's, like, really confident and they're, like, not the stereotypical whatever, like, I feel like it's empowering to me, you know? And so, like, seeing a show like that, it's like a domino effect of confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to see the wide expression of sexuality and what that can look like. And, you know, some people are wearing, like, strap-ons and, like, fake tits, you know, like the little, I don't know what they
like the
called.
best things.
Yes. Just, like, all of these things, you know, changing between, like, a dress and a suit, you know, there's just, like, all of these variables that I think create just, like, a lot more texture, I would say, to the performance, you know, because, I mean, obviously it's amazing to watch, like, hot, beautiful women do their thing and get it, and it's cool to see how that can be applied to so many more people.
Yes.
Because I do find the inclusivity to be very important, but lacking in a lot of burlesque communities.
We should go together. That'd be fun.
Yeah, for research for the podcast.
I mean, podcast also, I just feel like creatively, it would be so fun to just go see this and get, like, inspired and even, like, poses, like, anything.
Oh, yeah. And just what they come up with, too, is so incredible that you're just like, I left feeling inspired. I was like, I want to put together another burlesque piece. Like, I miss it.
Yeah.
So
we would definitely come to yours.
Yeah, we would.
Thank you.
We'd sit in the front row. We would be
Yes.
hollering for you.
Thank you. I know.
Showering you with dollar bills.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. A dream.
My pole studio did a showcase at Dante's a few months ago, and it was really fun because it's like the strip club is cool, but it's like it's a different dynamic than someone who's actually putting on like a fully choreographed act, you know? And so with this showcase, everybody had their own act and their own theme and a costume, and it was kind of similar to that. And there was one performer who did like a gender bending one where they were kind of going from like a more masculine vibe in their dance to like a more feminine one. And it was so fun. And so it'd be fun to like see more of that.
Yeah.
I have another question for you about growing up dancing.
Yes.
What was your experience with your body image like growing up as a dancer?
Okay. I mean, my body was always, there was like a point when I was like a twig, like probably when I was like 7, but then after that, like, you know, I always had like more muscular thighs and legs. Definitely got told a lot, like, you know, having not necessarily directly, definitely in ballet that, you know, I needed to like work out more or dance more.
Yeah.
I didn't stick with ballet for long. But it was kind of a message I got a lot was, you know, about my body needing to be smaller. And I'd be so confused because, you know, I'm dancing with all these like petite other people, and you know, I look at them and they're just getting more petite and toned, and like I've got thunder thighs that are gonna like crush someone's skull, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I don't really know how I'm supposed to change this.
Yeah.
Once I left kind of more traditionally structured dancing, that's when I think I felt the most connected to dancing, because not only was I dancing in the way that someone wanted me to, but I was not having this hyper fixation on what my body looked like and what it needed to be a dancer. And I think that is also something that's clearly lacking, you know, is the body inclusivity within the dancing world. That you have to look a certain way to move or to be flexible, which is just not true at all.
Yeah.
And is definitely another factor of what pushed me into burlesque, of wanting to find a dance form that I could feel more acceptance around my body. And, you know, like now I would absolutely take a dance class and not feel that way. But when you're on a team where you're competing, where, you know, you're training 4 days a week,
you have the biggest ass out of everyone.
Yes, and you've got a deadline, you know, all these things. It's like, yeah, they care what you look like. They want you to look a certain way.
Yeah.
And you absolutely get judged for that in competitions, you know. Like,
totally.
Competitions were so brutal, the way they just tear you apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird, like, older judges telling, like, young kids, like, that outfit's not flattering on you.
Yeah.
That'll be, like, part of the critique. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and even if you have, like, a wardrobe malfunction competing, you are not allowed to fix it. So, like, if you, a child, your, you know, leotard snaps and half of your chest is exposed, you will get docked points if you fix your outfit. You have to continue on with the performance, even if you get injured. Like, you got to keep going. I dislocated a knee during our last, like, competition.
Oh my God.
And I just had to crawl to my next position because I was like, I have to finish the dance. I can't just like walk off the floor.
Yeah.
So it's brutal.
Yeah.
It's cutthroat, really.
Gymnastics like that too. They're so psychotic with, like, I feel so bad forgetting her name right now, but she was like that one really, really famous gymnast who, like, was at the Olympics and, like, I think broke her ankle straight up, but then, like, had to finish her vault routine basically, like, revaulted on one foot and got, like, a medal. Like, she medaled in it, but, like, fell to the floor as soon as she landed that vault because, like, her foot was broken. She literally was, like, vaulted again on a broken foot. I'm like, I don't even understand. And it's like, you're an Olympian at that point. It's like, go. Like,
Yeah,
you
show must go on.
Like, no option.
Yeah, it's like, it's that or never.
Yeah.
Like, really. And that's how it is, like, the competition, too. You don't get to come back and do it. It's like, well, you flopped.
Yeah.
And you don't get a trophy now, so go home.
Yeah.
You know, and you just traveled to a whole other state for this and paid all this money to even get into the competition.
I don't even know what the right word is. I guess alternative forms of dance are, like, definitely more body positive. I had that experience with pole, for sure.
Yes.
Where it was, like, that kind of made me love dancing again after, like, leaving it behind when I was younger and feeling like this is, like, too hard on my self-esteem.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the dancing world in, the way it's, like, set up and just kind of targeted towards, you know, specifically, like, little girls definitely there's so much control about it, and it's kind of strange whenever I think about it a lot.
Yeah.
But I loved that, about pole, too, when I first took some classes, was just like, oh, this is so great. Like, I even, you know, like, I went, like, I think little booty shorts and, like, a sports bra, and they're like, you can come in, like, an underwear and a top. And I was like, wait, what? And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I gotta think about it, but okay.
Yeah, there's, like, people in thongs of all sizes.
Yes.
You know, it's so, like, it's so nice to see.
Yes. Yeah. And then once I that was, like, my first class, and then once I got a little more comfortable, I was like, okay, let's go. Like, and now I've got no issues seeing everyone else, and it just, it feels like such a safe space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing that we wanted to ask is if someone wanted to sign up for doing, like, movement lessons with you, is that something that you're currently offering?
Yeah. So I'm about to actually move, and I mean, I have a studio space right now in my house. It's not up to my standards personally, so I don't like dancing in there as much. But my new spot has hardwood floors, and that's kind of what I need. And so once I get moved and settled, I'm going to have a nice little studio space, and I'll definitely be, like, accepting, like, little private, probably only max, like, 2 people groups. Like, I also will come to people too and, like, do group classes. I absolutely would. I love doing movement stuff. It's definitely one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We definitely need to take a class.
Yeah.
Yes, I would love that. And it just like can look so many different ways. Sometimes I come up with choreography and like we put it together, and then sometimes it's like, do you know how to do like an improv flow and something just super basic? And a lot of times it's no for people because improv is very difficult. But we start, you know, with like our eyes closed and laying on the floor, and then, you know, how can you discover your relationship to the floor and with movement? You know, how can you explore that with your hand, with your fingers, with your feet? Can you roll side to side, and then slowly piecing it together? But it's just supposed to be an intimate experience of coming into your body and discovering what type of movement feels good for you, because I don't really like pushing the idea that we all have to move in the same way, because that's just so boring. But I'm definitely looking forward to, like, in my new space, offering more little private classes like that.
Yeah. That
I
sounds
would,
so cool.
yeah, I would love to send clients to you too, like
Yeah.
especially ones that have video shoots coming up and like add on for video, because I know it's like it's so helpful to just learn how to move. Like we do a little bit of it when they first come in, but I think having like even an hour lesson or something before a video
Yeah.
shoot.
It's hard to squeeze it into a shoot
It
when
is.
it's like you're asking someone to be really vulnerable already doing a boudoir session, and then being like, okay, now rub your hands along your body. Like,
Yeah.
and like they just feel really
Yes.
awkward. You know, they're
Yeah.
kind of moving through it really quickly because it's uncomfortable. And so
Yeah.
I think it'd be so nice to give them like a
Yeah.
little bit of instruction.
Yeah.
I would love that so much. I just had some of the most amazing dance sessions with people where, you know, I see them finally perform and I'm like almost in tears because I'm like, you did that. And like at certain points they're like, I don't think I can do that. And I'm like, you can do that because you did it. And we're going to just keep doing it. One of like the biggest pieces I think of like movement art for me that I value is slowness, because fast movements are very alluring and attractive, but there's something so different between moving quickly and moving slowly. But when you slow down, like you're letting people just see you and just like feel your body. Like what does your chest feel like in your hands? What does your collarbone feel like? Like feel that, pay attention to it. Be in that moment, you know? It makes me happy to see people being able to like arrive in their bodies more and just being able to be present in ways they wouldn't have been able to. I mean, it's so hard to like be in that space, like when you think about it. Like if you go up to like dance in front of a bunch of people, it's easy to just be like boom, 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 compared to like slowly touching your leg and making eye contact with everyone, you know?
Yeah,
like
that's more vulnerable,
yes,
I feel like.
it is. Even in my like last burlesque piece, I did a sad one, which was probably one of my favorite ones I did, and it was to a really, really sad song, Cellophane, by FKA Twigs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did it to that, and my whole like concept was, I mean, it was definitely very personal, but like I dressed very much like a showgirl, you know, because it's like, why didn't I do it for you? So just trying to be like up and like, you know, done up as much as possible, wearing like a glitzed out like rhinestone G-string and everything, and I had like my clear pleasers on, you know, but then taking it all off. And I'd have moments where I'd do something really, really fast, and then I'd go into something that was like so slowed down, and the crowd would go wild at the slow moments always. Like they would lose it every single time because I would go through, you know, some pirouettes or something, and then I would just stop and do like a very slow like back bend, and people would just be dying because there was just this moment for them to savor it and to be with you, and they're not constantly tracking your movements. Instead, they're able to like just be there with you in that moment, you know, and witness you in your entirety.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
I want to watch you perform.
I know, I want to watch you perform so
I could
bad
show
now.
you the video of it
Yes,
afterwards.
please.
Yeah, because it's definitely one of my favorite performances. I worked so hard on it, and I'm pretty sure I cried really hard when I was done because it just felt like such a success. I was like, you know what? I would love to straddle the emotions of like lust and anguish. Like, I was like, I want people to be so confused that they're like hard and crying at the same time and might even use their tears as lube. Like, I want absolute chaos, but in the most beautiful way.
Yes. I can't wait to watch this video.
Yeah. Yay, I can't wait to show you. In my choreography classes, I always told them, I was like, we're going to do this choreography, and I don't want you to look just like me. Like the point, and I think that's like the hardest part, you know, is like you see videos on TikTok or, you know, Instagram Reels or wherever, And it's all dancing in a specific way. You know, a lot of it looks copy and paste, like in a traditional sense, you know, or if you see what like looks sexy and what's not conveyed to people. I mean, and a lot of the people end up being like, you know, able-bodied and thin. And so, you know, you're not seeing, you know, the diversity in people's bodies and expression. But, you know, what's not conveyed is that movement feels comfortable in that person's body, and that you can find movement that feels comfortable in your body and doesn't have to look like that, and it's still going to be sexy. Like, you can find your own way to do those things without the idea that it has to look like this, you know, slinky person that's doing this epic move that it's like, that looks, yeah, it's hot, it's amazing, but like, your body has its own natural movement too that's gonna look slinky and sexy too.
Mm-hmm. I'm having so many ideas right now of like, we could do a retreat of discovering your body's sexual, sensual, slinky movements.
Yeah.
Like, we've been dying to do a retreat, and like this, I feel like,
God,
having like a movement component like would pair so perfectly with like the photos, because
oh, absolutely. Like, even having a setup too where it's like, I don't know, whatever happens in the morning, and then there is like a movement time, and then like everyone gets ready and then goes to it. I feel like that prep would just be game changing for people, because they'd have, it's arriving in your body, you know, and I think that's what's hard for people is like, you're sitting in this and there's not the opportunity to be like, okay, bye. Like, you know, you've got to be in it. Yeah. Because it looks a lot different if you're just mindlessly going through something to where you're like intentionally moving your arm, you know, like, and it's just a lot more vulnerable. So it makes sense why everyone just wants to be like, peace.
Yeah. Okay. This is sort of related to some of the questions we've been asking, but like, separate from posing, do you have any advice that you can give people who are listening for like getting more in touch with their bodies? Not necessarily like doing movements that look good, but and maybe I'm making an assumption here, but I feel like when I watch you pose, it looks like you're really in touch with your body. The way you talk about it, it seems like you are. Yeah. So am I right in thinking that?
Yeah. I mean, I've done so much personal work to be in my body. I spent probably like up till I was 25, I was so deeply dissociated. And I mean, and I still could dance and like it looked beautiful, but like moving slow was hard for me. Like my first burlesque performance, I moved so fast. Like my teacher was constantly telling me to slow down, and it was so difficult for me because I didn't want to slow down. I didn't want people to see me. And so that was something I really, really worked on. But just like walking, just breathing, you know, like trying to find moments of mindfulness when I can dial into my body and just like feel it. Even like before bed, you know, touching my body. What does it feel like? Doesn't have to be like in a sexual way. And then just like looking at my body in the mirror. And, you know, I'm not always just like sitting there like, oh my gosh, I love my body so much, but just witnessing it. Just like looking at it and trying not to have any judgment, good or bad, just kind of being completely neutral and just taking in my body. And I feel like doing a lot of that has really helped. And also just really breaking out of mindsets and binaries of what my body is supposed to look like. And kind of coming back to that thing of, you know, like just recognizing how I am and like who I am instead of thinking there's something wrong with me. The same with my body, and, you know, same of being like, well, I'm probably never gonna be a petite 120-pound person, and if I was, people would be concerned. And kind of developing an acceptance around that. So instead of constantly viewing my body as something to change, viewing it as something to embrace, something to like explore, and something to, you know, embody in more ways than I have. I
like that a lot. And I feel like those are like very, like, we could do that today, you know? That's like very practical advice.
Yes. I mean, some of like the dance classes I've taken even that were the most like profound for me were just like the most simple, like delicate movements of just like your hands, you know, and your fingers, and like being aware of it. And, you know, like even now it's like, how does my heel feel on resting on this chair? Yeah. Instead of just like, oh, I'm just sitting here, but like actually being able to bring your presence to places in your body that otherwise you might not notice.
Yeah.
So
and not like ignoring how things feel.
Yeah. It just kind of gives you a lens. Like if I'm modeling, I can tell. Like I'll try something and I can tell if it's kind of awkward with my body because I can feel like a strain. And I don't like doing poses where I'm straining because I don't think it looks good.
That is interesting, especially just like paying attention to those small details, because in photography too, a lot of times those small details can like make or break a photo, where we'll have someone in a pose maybe sometimes, but then I'm like looking at everything. I'm like, oh wait, like unclench your fists, or like they're sitting there, they're like grasping their hands. I'm like, okay, like just like place your hands on top of each other, dainty fingers, like just relax. And it's like that little thing that makes a world of difference.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's like little things like that, that you just kind of have to like, your body is your tools, it's your medium you're using in the art form of modeling.
I spend so much time looking in the mirror already. It's going to be scary how much time I spend looking in the mirror after this.
It's great. I mean, like, why not revel in your own beauty? Like, we're here to exist in these meat suits, so it's like, why not just, like, enjoy the way that they look?
Let's appreciate it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's like, I did not come here just to, like, hate the one thing that's going to carry me around and like to harbor so much hatred and only feel acceptance if I change it, because that just feels like such a waste when it's like, or I could just embrace it and learn to love it and just say fuck you to everyone else that doesn't think it looks the way it should,
Yeah. Well, you're definitely an inspiration to me because I feel like I always try to find people to like follow and kind of who are like very like good at modeling or really confident in their bodies, who are like have thicker thighs and like have some of those things that like I struggle with my own body. And I feel like I look at you and I'm like, oh my God, she's so hot, she's so confident. And so you're inspiring to me. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
When we were in Oysterville doing that photo shoot in the gardens, Taylor immediately it was pretty soon after we had done your shoot at the studio.
Okay, yeah.
And Taylor was modeling at one point and she started doing these like really cool like arch poses with her hands up here. She's like, I'm channeling Rainey right now. And I could tell and it looked so good. I was. And they were really good photos. Like they looked great. Yeah.
Yes. I love that. Yes.
But while she was talking about faces, I was going to compliment you because you are really good at doing really subtle movements with your faces and like moving your hands really subtly to change the shot just a little bit and make them all look good.
Thank you. It's because all that looking in the mirror. But I'm still not there yet. I still hate my face a lot of the time. So I'm still working on that. That's why I got to keep telling Colin that he has the hottest wife in the world. So I can start to believe it.
I mean, I definitely have some days where I'm like, I am a goblin. Like, what? Or like I said, sometimes I look at pictures and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I model? Who am I kidding? Like, what? And then I go back and look and I'm like, no, never mind, I'm hot.
Yeah. I did notice though, so Allison sent us some photos that she took on her film camera when we were at Disneyland.
Yeah.
And those are just some of the cutest photos. They're completely just like random little photos.
Yeah.
And I was like looking at it, I'm like, why do I love these photos so much? Like, I'm not even making fun. And I'm like, you know what it is? It's the fact that it's just like basically just like that little bit of grainy film filter on it, and I'm not picking myself apart. And like I was like, I need to just only take photos like this from now on, and
just
like
only grain,
like grain, and just like I don't know. It's like it's not healthy though to look at yourself through our cameras on a regular basis without edits, because it's also not realistic. Like it's not real. Like I know like when I am taking a photo of somebody versus if I'm just in the studio with them working with them. Later when I'm editing that photo and I'm zoomed in retouching it, like that is not how I'm looking at their face when I'm with them in person, you know? And I like, know the same for myself. Editing,
and you'll be like, I didn't even know that person had acne until I zoomed in on their face.
Exactly. And it's like, and I know that, but then I still will see one of myself and I'm like, no, I'm the goblin. Like I am terrifying. What is and then I'm like, no, you have to stop.
Yes. It's kind of like I don't know if there's like ever really a true winning point, 'cause, just the way like how high tech cameras are and everything. It's like they're gonna pick up on all of those things. Yeah. No one's eyes are that dialed in. Where they're like, oh, I can see your eye wrinkles. Also, it's like we all have eye wrinkles.
Yeah, so it's just like part of like, having a body.
Yes, yeah. You're like, how dare I age?
Well, when I was editing your photos from our first shoot that we did video, and like you can't retouch video the same way you can retouch photos. And I'm like looking at the video and I'm like, I didn't realize she had any acne on her butt. And then I realized it was because you were wearing that pearl dress and it had put indents in your butt. But it was like, I didn't see it in real life. Like it did not register.
I also have heat-induced hives and I was in the hot tub. So I think those are actually my heat-induced hives.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I know when I got the video, I was like, no, my hives. Yeah, it's been a real struggle because certain fabrics really make them pop off. No, they're gone now. I had them this morning. But I get them, hot tubs.
Yeah.
I'm covered, sauna covered. When I work out, I'm usually covered. You can kind of still see them a little bit, but I'm usually, covered, and then I'll have flare-ups, like head to toe. I'm covered in hives, but those were my hives, yeah.
Well, I didn't even notice them in real life. Like, I did not see
so
them
good.
until I was looking at the camera.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's just an example of how, like, in the camera, you see things that are just not even registering to the naked eye.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Because you're also seeing like the whole person and their mannerisms and whatever they're saying. It's like, it's everything when you're in person with someone. But a photo, it's like just that one tiny snapshot of just this one thing. And
yes,
it's not healthy,
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah, you can like zoom in a lot. Like you can zoom in on things that you're like, I didn't even know I had that. I didn't even know that existed, or that people could notice that. And it's like no one actually can.
Nobody.
No one's really up in your grill like that ever.
Yeah.
And
No one is zoomed in on this patch.
No,
right here.
no, they're not. Absolutely not.
Okay, I feel like we've talked about modeling and posing a lot, but there's like so much more to you and like to what we want to talk about.
Yeah.
Well, okay, we were kind of talking about this a little bit earlier, but you are so booked and busy with, like, you are posting content constantly.
Yeah.
It seems like you're literally doing a photo shoot every single day, but then you also have, like, your doula work, and I'm just like, how are you managing everything? Because it seems like a lot all the time.
It is a lot. I did take, like, a little break in kind of, like, July, because June was a really busy month for me with my doula work. And then I just realized, like, creatively, I was just kind of burnt out. And so this month, I've kind of, like, it's kind of like backlog people I decided to work with, you know, and then just kind of being like, okay, now I am available to shoot. And just, I've been having to kind of, like, push people later on, which, you know, it's fine. I've always wanted to, like, have a solid balance between that and with dance as well, which dance has kind of fallen to the back burner right now. And I do know that once I get my space dialed in, I'm going to be dancing so much because it'll be my first time living alone, and it's going to be, like, my whole, like, own space, and I'll just, like, have that level of privacy, which to me makes such a big difference to have.
Living alone is the best.
Yeah, I'm so excited. It's going to be really cool. I think my cat will be really happy too because he's a little anxious. So since my main income is doula work, I prioritize my clients, and so I schedule them. Usually have my schedule a bit in advance if I'm already established with the client. If they're waiting to have their baby, it's kind of like I'm just waiting and I have to kind of hold that space for them. And then I book shoots around that. But like, you know, sometimes it's like I work till 6 a.m. I take a nap until whenever. Sometimes I can sleep until like 1:30. Sometimes it's like 10:30 and I'm like, let's go.
Oh my
God.
God.
I know. I do get to nap during my shifts. So
good.
Once baby's older and we get in a flow, then I usually have like, I'd say like at least a 3-hour nap I get. But I usually don't rest more than that. Or sometimes I'll do like 2.5-hour little naps. But then I'll like be shooting at 2 p.m. So it's like I gotta like get up and get ready and then I go. I definitely don't have as many brain cells for those shoots, but I make it work. And then I usually have that night off so I can like sleep 10 hours is usually what I do.
And then when do you make content for like your OnlyFans and your Playboy?
Okay, so that is probably something I need to work on, but usually like after a shoot when I'm already like kind of done up, because then it's easy. I'm just like the makeup's done, the hair's done, the vibe's there. Or if I have like some days off and I know I have like a little lull, I'll go and do that. And I try to make all my customs in one day just so that it's done. I can send them out and then like next week it will be like the next available day that I have. But sometimes I'm really bad at that. And then I'm like, oh, that's right. You wanted this. So that's like the one thing I'm trying to work on.
Yeah.
Doing it after a photo shoot, though, is kind of the easiest. Or before a photo shoot.
Yeah, that seems like the perfect time. Cause you're like in the flow already.
Yeah, and for a while, honestly, most of my like content and stuff on like my Playboy was all like right before I went to bed. So I had like no makeup on. I was like in my jammies, but people loved it. They were just like, "Oh my gosh, like this is such a vibe. Like you're just like no makeup, hair up, you know, jammies on, oversized t-shirt, and I'm like, yeah, well,
I feel like that gives people that like intimate look,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
into your like life, and it feels
Exactly.
probably more personal.
yeah, there's a good balance of the both, where like they want me to be super dolled up and like wear a lingerie outfit, and then a lot of times they're like, I don't really care, I just want to see your butthole, so, you know.
That's like every man in the world, honestly. Yeah.
Okay, actually, I'm really curious about this.
Yes.
Whenever we have someone who's like a sex worker that does like OnlyFans or anything like that, I'm always really curious, like, what are the majority of your requests for?
Oh, well, I mean, a lot of people want to watch me get fucked, and that's kind of why I started an OnlyFans, because you can't post partnered content to Playboy. It's against community guidelines.
I was just gonna ask
Okay.
you, what is like the difference? Because
Yes.
I didn't even know this Playboy thing existed until I saw your link, and then I was like, oh, this looks just like OnlyFans.
Yes.
Is it basically just like OnlyFans?
It is. So
Okay.
Playboy started like an app, and it was Playboy Centerfold. And it was going to be a completely separate app, and it was just going to be basically like OnlyFans, but a lot of their recommendations are that like everything on your profile that is visible is safe for work, and then the locked stuff is not safe for work. Obviously you can do whatever. A lot of people are just like doing like, I don't really know. I've looked at different people's, and I'm like, okay, that's not what I'm doing. Like they're like, oh, this is me in some lingerie, come see more of me, and I'm like, watch me squirt.
Yeah.
So but you can't, it's against community guidelines to post partnered content, and I started getting a lot of requests for that. And then I started filming with people, so I felt like OnlyFans would be a good option. And I also have so many people that have wanted me to be on OnlyFans. So like I think I haven't even had it for a week, and I already have like over 40 subscribers. And
Wow.
Wait, you
I
just
know.
got OnlyFans?
I just barely started mine.
Oh, wow.
I didn't
Literally
know
just a
that.
few
Yeah,
days ago.
I didn't know that
Okay.
either.
Yeah. And like
Wow.
I've already made like $300, and I was
Wow.
like, oh.
Okay, we love to see
Yeah,
I
it.
know. I was like, oh, okay. I guess
So-
you guys were just waiting for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. So did you originally build your following on Instagram then?
Yeah. So
Okay.
with my first account, which that account was already, I feel like it's kind of bittersweet that it got shut down, because I got really, really shadow banned back in like 2020.
Okay.
And like I maybe was having like under 100 people view my stories. And I had that account for 8 years, and it took me so long just to get 4,000 followers. And so then, like, there were just so many issues with it already, and it just kind of felt like a hit or miss. And so then with this new page, I just made it a personal page. I didn't make it a creator page. And like none of my posts have been flagged, and I'm already over 1,000 followers. So I was like, I feel like that other page was just doomed. It was cursed.
Yeah.
Interesting.
From the get-go.
That is really interesting. I
yeah.
was telling Anna the other day that I have never had the word boudoir in my personal Instagram bio. And the other day I added it, and immediately 5 posts were flagged. And so I deleted it out of
Yeah.
my bio. Those posts are still fucking flagged. But I just feel like there's certain things
Yeah.
that just like trigger Instagram, and then
Yes.
they never let go.
No.
You're always like in their
No.
grip after
Yes.
that.
Especially like you cannot say link in bio.
No.
You cannot say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You can say link in bio.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but you can't, like, you have to do all these things. And it's better to not like have a direct link to like OnlyFans. Like you should always do like the like little sticker attachment with different words, and there's just like all of these things, and then even certain hashtags too, and like there it's like it's not a platform that's easy to navigate at all, and obviously is super strict on censorship. Yeah, it's a struggle, but
It is.
I do think I got most of my following like on my Playboy and OnlyFans. Definitely, pretty much everyone's from my Instagram.
Okay.
I would assume.
This is interesting. Maybe I need to start a new account, because I am also deeply shadow banned.
Yeah.
To the point where even like people that follow me are like, I can't like find you to message you, because they have to fully type out my name to message me.
Oh.
And you have
like,
a long name.
I have a long name,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it's like, yeah.
Yeah, some of my posts do really well. Some of them are like whatever, but I'm still like in the beginning stages, and I also am at the point where I just kind of don't care.
Yeah.
But even when I had like 3,000 followers or something, I would only get like 115 likes on a post, and I'd maybe get like 100 people watching my stories. And now it's like most days I have pretty much 200 to like over 300 people watching my stories. So it's like,
Yeah. And a
But
fraction of the followers. So that,
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
interesting.
yeah. So I do think not having like a business profile on Instagram is probably the move, because I think once you have a business profile, they're looking at how you're making money, And if you're making money off of Instagram but using it as like a marketing tool to make money elsewhere, they're gonna like be on top of your stuff. I posted a set today and I'm fully like nude and my butt's out and nothing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's just dandy. Like, that's it. Whereas, like, I posted those pics we did in the leotard in the studio, and those got flagged. My butt in a leotard got flagged.
Of course
like,
it did. Yeah.
It didn't matter, because I had people being like, well, maybe you need to censor your stuff more. And I was like, okay, well, first of all, shh. But second of all, I'm getting flagged for, like, everything. I'm getting flagged for being in a swimsuit, you know. It's not like I'm sitting there spreading my cheeks.
Yeah.
I'm just pretty fully clothed.
Yeah. I have thought before that it would be an interesting experiment to try getting a new phone with a burner phone, basically. Mm-hmm. Start an Instagram from that phone so that Instagram has no idea that it's connected to your old one.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you can get rid of the burner phone, log into it from your regular phone. But that way, like, when you start the account, it's not connected to any of your old ones. And then see like how that would do as I don't know. I feel like, Anna, if you start a new account, you should try that.
Yeah.
Or use a completely new email.
Yeah.
Don't use the email that you used for your other account.
That is smart.
Yeah.
My new account, unfortunately, I think I forgot and I kept my same email and I was like, oh my God, no. How did I forget that? Which it's doing fine, but it's like, it's better to just have a completely different email, just blank slate.
Yeah. I think you should just, like, experiment.
I know, I might.
It's worth checking into.
Okay, sorry. We were talking about custom content, though.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
So, continue. We sidetracked. So, you were going to OnlyFans because it's more allowed
That's
there.
right. Yes. So, basically, I mean, people still have their qualms with OnlyFans. It's not super easy to, I mean, if both parties who make content are on OnlyFans, then you can tag them and post that stuff. If not, they need to sign a release form and confirm that that's them in the video and that they consent to you posting the video, which isn't like that bad. It's just like a little bit more work. Mm-hmm. And I've heard that there's just like a lot of kind of hoops to jump through with OnlyFans. I haven't posted any partnered content yet, just because the person I filmed with, their OnlyFans hasn't been approved yet. So
got it.
There's kind of pros and cons, you know, to each, but I'm just doing a free page on OnlyFans, and my Playboys is subscription-based. Okay. So my subscribers on Playboy will get the better deal out of everyone because they're paying a monthly fee, so they get like a free video once a month, and they get discounts on customs, and they get like certain videos sent to them that won't be posted to my page. Followers on my Playboy, they kind of get the shit end of the stick. Like, they pay the most because they're not subscribing. And then OnlyFans is kind of like about the same, maybe a little bit better than my followers of what they get, just price point. Just because I didn't want to lose my subscribers on Playboy for OnlyFans. But I mean, like, if that happened, it's fine. But, you know, it's like a whole thing. You have to like calculate the rates, and then, you know, you learn really quickly. You're like, oh, I'm going to make every post $20 to $30 and only like one person buys it. And then you're like, okay, let me put this post for $8 and then you make $100 off of it. So it's like, you gotta do a lot of like testing.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
When I was like briefly considering starting an OnlyFans, I did a bunch of research and I was like, honestly, the math alone makes me not want to do it because it seems so complicated of like, okay, you're charging this much, but then you need to like post stuff for them to just like see, but then you also need to post stuff that they're paying. It's like a lot. You're constantly strategizing and like thinking about like, okay, what's the next way I can get people to buy something?
Yes.
Because that's what you make money off of, not the subscription fee.
No. Yeah. Most of it is going to be them purchasing content. You can charge people to message you, which I have for followers on my Playboy, but I think, or my subscribers get like a discounted rate and then it's free on OnlyFans, which right now I'm just kind of experimenting. I'm just trying to see what works, but everyone wants it for free. Everyone wants it for cheap. And they'll be like, well, I can go to Chatterbait and pay someone $5.50 for, you know, whatever. And you're like, okay, then go there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what do you want me to say. Like,
It's not me.
yeah, like, okay, like, cool. I'm not charging like an absurd amount.
Yeah.
And it's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
And you're asking for me to do this whole thing for you. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Damn.
But, oh yeah, so then what types of customs? So yeah, people wanting to watch me get fucked. Lots of people want to see my butthole. Like, really, people just
Specifically
really...
the hole.
Yes, like...
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like, do they want to see any, like, do they want to see like a butt plug, or they just want to see your like butthole?
I do get requests for like butt plugs.
Yeah.
They just also really like to see my butthole. I have one client who pays me to watch me try to fart.
Stop.
Iconic.
I love that.
Which is really funny because I'm not a very gassy person.
Yeah.
I burp a lot, but I'm not like just farting around.
Do you eat like a lot of beans before you film for them?
Well, no, this was like a new thing, you know, because
Okay.
he's like, I just really want to watch you fart. He really wants to sniff my ass. Like,
Yeah.
that's really what he wants to do. Is like, I was like, do you want me to like fart in your face? And he's like, no, I just want to sniff your ass. So I was like, okay. But I wasn't like prepared, and I was like, I'm not really gassy. He's like, it's okay, just try. So I just basically we did a little like video chat, and I just tried to fart. Never farted. And he like came in like 2 minutes. So I was like, well, I mean, you paid for 5. You want anything else? He's like, no, I'm good. I was like, okay, well, have a good day.
Love that.
So,
Wow.
you know, you get like some random requests. I did get my first pair of panties purchased. Yeah, but a lot of it ends up just being like masturbation content.
Yeah, that's what I feel like when we were talking to another content creator that we've worked with. She was saying that's like the vast majority of her.
Yeah.
It's like jack off instructions.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've done some of those. And yeah, and then like when I get people who want in-person sessions, a lot of them want to be dommed and want me to peg them, which I do.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah.
Every time I think of pegging, I think of that Broad City episode. Have you seen?
Yes. She washes the dildo, and he's like, do you
dishwasher.
know what kind of dildo this is? Yeah.
Iconic.
It's really a wonderful experience.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
I have never pegged anybody, but I just feel like it would be very, like, you just feel like a boss if
Yeah,
you're
I
pegging,
feel like
right?
Yes.
I haven't either, but I feel like it would make me feel like such a bad bitch.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's something about being in control, and just, like, I love making men be my little bitches. Like,
Yeah.
just like, oh, okay, we got this. We got this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of like a mashup of it all, but that's tends to be the more common stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get, like, a few weird things here and there, but...
I think the farting
Yeah,
is
the
my
farting.
favorite.
Yeah, that's iconic.
This man he's very interesting. He's definitely like some fecal matter stuff too. So, yeah. Which I said no to, you know,
Yeah.
I considered it. And then I was like, I don't know. I feel like there's going to be trauma attached to that, like having to deal...
The aftermath.
The
cleanup.
aftermath of it,
Yeah.
like, that's gonna be seared into my brain. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
that's gonna be on replay. Like, I'm never gonna look at the bathroom the same. I'm just gonna be like, yeah,
That's where I did that.
that's where that happened. Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like I'm really impressed with like all the different things you're doing and like all of the
like doing it all, like navigating all of it, balancing, like, because it's a lot of different things, and it's like
Yeah.
they're all tiring, and so
yeah. And I just
Yeah.
feel like you're like living your best life, and it's just very. We love to see it.
Well, thank you. I mean, I'm trying. I'm
Yeah.
trying. I'm doing my best. It is a lot to juggle, and you know, I think part of it too is being able to have the awareness of like, okay, I need to tap out for a bit, or you know, I need to take a rest. I need to reschedule shoots, but I'm not really scared to cancel on people at the end of the day, and
That's good.
I am going to reschedule, but like things happen, mental health gets crappy, and like sometimes you just need time to recharge, and I don't like showing up for a shoot not being ready.
Yeah.
That just feels like a waste of my time and the photographer's time, and so I'd rather just, you know, take the L, and if they're cool and like are okay with rescheduling, then we'll do it, and if not, then I'm like, okay, well, probably wasn't going to work out anyways.
Yeah.
So doing my best.
Yeah.
It's probably nice that you're in some ways are doing so many things, because if you do need a break from one of them, you can just like ramp down on that and then ramp up on the other things you're doing, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can find like the balance probably a lot easier than someone who has just like one job.
Yeah, it's nice having my energy kind of go in different places. All my main income does come from doula work, which, you know, that's totally fine. It fully supports me, and I love it. And it makes modeling and like dancing, and like sex work is, you know, supplemental income, but even that, like, a lot more enjoyable to know like my livelihood is not dependent on this, which I'm very like grateful and, you know, privileged to experience it in that way. And yeah, it just makes it all something that, yeah, I feel like I can enjoy a lot more because there's not this pressure to monetize everything I do. I really don't like that about like modern society, about how everything has to be like this money grab, like,
Yes.
oh, like, are you like, how much money are you getting for that? How much money are you getting for this? And I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, most of my modeling stuff, it's like TFP. I do a lot of collabs with amazing photographers and other models. I pay a lot of photographers too because I'm seeking out specific work, and that's just how it works in my brain. And sometimes I get paid too. But at the end of the day, I don't want my modeling to be built on this foundation of, you know, am I getting the bag or not? Because I'm making money in other ways, and I just want to enjoy modeling for what it is, and it's like kind of my creative outlet.
Yeah. And if you were like only taking modeling jobs that like paid a lot of money, you'd just be like modeling for like JCPenney, you
Exactly.
know? Like, and that's just not going to be as creatively fulfilling.
No, I'm like, can I bring my ball gag?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
absolutely not. This is
Yeah.
a family picture. Okay.
Like, I want to do a sexy tea party in
Yeah,
the park, you know?
yeah, like,
Yeah.
can we do that? Yeah, the creative expression too, especially, just not having like any limits. And I know for a while with dance, I did try to have it be my main and only source of income, and I hated dancing when I did that. I
Yeah.
didn't want to do it because I was doing something that other people wanted me to do, and it wasn't fun at all. They weren't performances I enjoyed. I, you know, did it and then left and was like, oh my God, that felt horrible. Like,
Yeah.
I want to go because I want to be there and I want to like show this to people. And if I get tips, I get tips, and that's fun. Or if I'm paid to like do me, you know, just show up and be myself, that's something I would do. But I feel at a really good place with it.
Yeah.
I really like that because we always are planning like creative shoots that we're doing. Like every month there's at least a couple that are happening, and a lot of times we'll get like burnt out and then we'll get overwhelmed. We're like, hey, next month like don't schedule anything. But then it's also hard because like those are also the shoots that really fuel us, and like we are tired because we're like, you know, working on everything else that we're doing. But it's like we almost need those shoots to like keep going because it's like it's just so fun and different.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's like they might not be like, we might be losing money because we're like, you know, buying stuff for them and we're just setting up a set for fun because we want to. But at the end of the day, it's like you can't monetize everything, and it's like sometimes you just need to do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then also like gives you an idea too, like, oh my gosh, I could do this again, and like now you know how, or like even taking the idea and creating like a similar one to it that you want to recreate elsewhere. I just don't care to monetize everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm good.
Yeah.
I have one more doula question for you.
Yeah.
So earlier you were talking about how like most of the doula stuff that you're doing is like it's after, like it's like scheduled, it's like after they've given birth and stuff. So
Yes.
can you talk a little bit more about that? Because
Yeah.
until I was like researching doulas and had my baby, I didn't even know that like after you had the baby, doulaing was even a thing. I just thought it was for birth.
Yeah, so there's there's full spectrum doulas, there's bereavement doulas, there's death doulas, abortion doulas, birth and labor doulas, and then postpartum doulas. And so that's what I do.
I had no idea
Yeah.
about all those
Yes.
other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's, even like sexuality doulas, there's disability doulas. Like, essentially, a doula is a support person, a hired support person who has training and education around the topic. And the main purpose of my work is reshifting the focus from baby onto parents, you know, and I always remind my clients, I'm not like, you know, F you to the baby, but I'm like, you're going to be fine. Like, the baby is going to be fine. Everyone is concerned about baby. Everyone's asking about baby, but who's asking about you? Who's taking care of you? And so that essentially, is the basis of my job. I do a lot of like postpartum planning with families, you know, which is something that is given so much thought in other cultures and traditions. Like, you know, there's the first 40 days, which is very popular, like especially in Japan, and you are in bed for 40 days. You do not leave bed. All meals are brought to you. Like, you can get up and go to the bathroom. You're having bonding time with baby, but the whole purpose of it is for you to rest, because after you give birth, you have a plate-sized wound in your uterus from your placenta. Like, that's a plate-sized wound in your body, you know, and people are like, I gotta bounce back, I gotta get up and moving. And I'm there to be like, absolutely not, because you want to move and you're going to be so much better off if you give yourself like 6 weeks to just rest. Most people have a very hard time resting. They have a really hard time just being still. I think that's just an issue with our society. So I'll bring up like the 5-5-5 rule or the 7-7-7 rule, which is, 5 days in bed, 5 days around bed, 5 days around the house. And so the purpose of that is to kind of give a structure for rest, to limit how much exertion you're giving, because you're burning so many calories when you're nursing, but also just the healing process. And also you're having to shed all the hormones you were carrying. You are carrying all this extra water weight. Your organs literally have to reshift in your body.
Yeah.
If you have a tear, that's a whole other thing. Like, pooping is terrifying. Even going like pee, it hurts. It's just this whole experience that I feel gets so looked over. So, a lot of my clients are like, I don't even know what a postpartum plan is. What is that? And so we get to sit down, like, do you have meal support? Do we need to get a meal train? Who are your support people? And I tell them it can't be their partner. Like, you have to have a support network outside of your partner, because your partner needs their own support network. And you two are not going to be able to support each other when you're sleep deprived, you're hormonal, and you've got this dependent tiny little human who needs both of you. You need outside support systems. I do a lot of like prep around relationships, like, I guess introducing the mindset that you are becoming a parent. Like, you are never going to be the person you were before this baby, because you weren't a parent then, and you are now a parent, and you will never not be a parent. Like, birth is a moment, postpartum is forever. And so, how is that going to change you and your relationship with your partner and to your family and to the world? That's going to change essentially. And we talk about intimacy. How can you explore intimacy outside of penetrative sex if that's the type of sex that you're having? How can you reintroduce romance without putting pressure on your partner to have penetrative sex, before they're ready? And just having just really honest conversations with people about that, preparing them for the ins and outs, because it does get so difficult, and there are moments when it feels really impossible to connect with your partner. And if you're sleep deprived and you're hungry and your nipples are cracked and bleeding and your vulva is super swollen, you've got a tear and you're wearing a diaper, and like you're scared to poop, and like your boobs are leaking, like you're just like you're feeling like a hot mess, and you need like at least a part of my purpose as a doula is to try to re-implement the idea of a village, so that that those people have that support system to fall back on. I'll like help them set up a postpartum nest, so we'll go up to their room and I'll like assess the space, and if they're getting a cesarean, making sure that there are no stairs involved, and if there are, then we make a postpartum nest where there are no stairs, so like first level floor, making sure they have like a nursing cart, what are things that would be comfortable for them to have, just like all like the little things really that takes care of them, because everyone has all of the recommendations for like a baby crib or a bassinet or what butt butter to use and like all of these things, but people be like, they don't even know what a postpartum diaper is, or a peri bottle. They're like, what's that? And you're like, well, we're gonna learn today. So yeah, it's like a lot of that, a lot of asking what their concerns are, what their worries are, where they feel they need the most help. Just like really getting to know them as people, and seeing them and creating that trust between us, so that in moments when things get rough, or if there are mood disorders involved, that like there's that comfortability between us, that I can let them know that I'm picking up on something, and get them that help. But also, even without the mood disorders, just being able to hold space for them in the moments when, it feels really difficult. And all the times I've had parents, just cry to me because it is really hard, or they feel really alone, or there's feelings of regret even. And just being able to just be with them in that and remind them that, they're doing a wonderful job, but also that it's totally normal to feel that way. And I'm not going to look at them like they're this bad parent. I'm going to look at them like they're an amazing parent, because they could voice something that so many people can't. So yeah, that's really what so much of it looks like. I do a lot of overnight support. So usually parents are sleeping and I stay with baby all night, and clean the house, do like a full reset. So when family comes downstairs, they're just like, don't have to empty the dishwasher. I don't have to prep bottles or sanitize them. Laundry is folded. I get to be present with my baby or babies and with myself. Like, I'm not going to feel bombarded by all of these little tasks that are adding to my stress levels. They're just completely taken care of and gone.
Yeah.
That sounds incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
I will be hiring you when I have a
Oh
baby.
my gosh, yes, please.
Does this make you wish you'd had a postpartum doula?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everyone needs this. This sounds so nice.
Yeah.
Honestly, even now, I'm like, I need a postpartum doula now.
Yeah, I mean, I have no age restrictions for my care. A lot of postpartum doulas will. But like I said, I believe postpartum's forever. I had a client reach out to me after her baby was 1. And she's actually about to be a second-time client now because she's pregnant again. But care really does drop off for parents around the 6-month mark. It's like people just are like, oh, the baby's 6 months, they're good. But it's like, this is just the beginning. Like, I feel like, babies are babies up until really they're like 4 or 5, that's just a part of being a baby, is infanthood, or toddlerhood and infanthood too. But there's just such a lack of care for them and showing up for people in that space and being able to show up for them properly. Everyone has their own ideas of how they should, and sometimes it just makes it so much worse.
Well, I feel like just from what I've seen, not as a mom, but I feel like it seems like when you have a baby, everybody wants to come over and hold your baby, but nobody wants to come over and clean your house or make you dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I do as well during prenatals, as we talk about. You are not hosting, and people that come over are not guests. They are helpers. There are no visitors coming over. They are coming to help. And so what's a list of tasks we can post to the door, and it says, hey, if you are coming inside, we ask that you complete one of these tasks, and then when you're done, you can hold baby. But it's like, baby does not need to be seeing people at 2 weeks old. Like, baby doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Baby can barely even open their eyes at this point. And you have these 2 grown humans who you know so deeply that desperately need your help, bring them a meal, clean some bottles for them, do a load of laundry, help organize baby stuff, give them time to go take a shower or take a nap,
Yeah.
But so much of it is this expectation that you're supposed to host. And I really just try to remind my clients that that's not what they're doing, and that they get to tell people no, like, it's their postpartum. And they don't owe anyone anything. And if people don't want to show up for them to be a part of the village, then they don't have to. And they can see baby when baby's like, I don't know, whenever the parents decide. But you're not obligated to show your baby to anyone, especially if they're not going to help you in the midst of one of the most, I would say, challenging experiences that we could ever have. Yeah, it varies. It's a lot of boundary setting. Not everyone's comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I talk to a lot of mother-in-laws, a lot of grandparents,
I bet.
having to be like, oh, that looks so cozy, and we can't put a fuzzy blanket on baby while they're sleeping because they will die, but it's okay, you didn't know, and now we know, removing it, or oh, you took a nap with baby on the couch? That's actually not the best place to take a nap with baby. Why don't we explore some other ways you can snuggle and bond? Or what to do if you get sleepy with baby that are still going to be safe. You end up showing up for a lot more than just the parents. There's a lot of people to hold in the process.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking as you were talking about the diaper and the plate size wound, I was like, what did people do back in caveman times when they had babies and there were no diapers or anything? And then you started talking about the village, and I was like, oh yeah, they had they lived in villages.
And herbs, packing herbs up there, and using compresses, all of these things. The person was probably fully taken care of while baby was with other people in the village, in the community. People who are already lactating were able to feed baby. You're in this trusted network of people who care about you as a person. But in our society specifically, we absolutely just want to discard parents. And how many clients at the 6-week checkup, come back and I'm like, they didn't ask you about any of this stuff, and the mood screening too for disorders. It's
It's embarrassing.
It is. It's nothing. It's like,
it's nothing.
How you feeling? Good? Okay, great. Well, yeah, if you want to go fuck, you can too. And you're like, what? Like,
Yeah.
I barely can, like, it's so, no, like, that's not, you want a penis up there already? Like,
Yeah.
I just pushed a baby out.
Yeah.
And you're talking about a penis up there?
It's crazy because, like, when you are pregnant, you're going to the doctor all the fucking time.
Yeah.
And then you give birth, and they're like, see ya.
Because the baby, because they're, and
Yep.
even those appointments are like way more concerned about the baby than they are about the
Yes.
mom.
Yeah.
And it's, nothing has made me want to, I mean, I know I joke about being a cult leader all the time, but like
She is a cult leader.
I actually want to like after having a baby, I'm like, I wish I lived on like a commune with families and other
Absolutely.
like little kids, just so like the kids could just all be together doing stuff and the parents could be like helping each other, and like
Yes.
it just makes so much more sense. And granted, like I'm introverted, like I need my space, but like we have the communal area to like do things together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I mean, in situations where I've worked with families, they don't necessarily have that type of like commune necessarily.
Yeah.
But the clients where they are surrounded in a friend group by other parents who are so ready to help them, I notice a much more successful level of support in their postpartum journey compared to like when you have a lot of friends that are single and they don't know what that necessarily means in the shift of their, friendship with this person who is now a parent, who now has this dependent human. But yeah, everything going into pregnancy, it's all baby centric. It's all baby focused. Like you'll hear people say like, well, as long as baby's fine, and like birthing parent has like a 3rd-degree tear and like is having latching issues and is already feeling like they're a failure, like all of these things. But baby's fine, so that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And it's like no wonder postpartum depression is just so bad in our country. And just postpartum mood disorders just seem like they have been on the rise, especially in the last few years.
Yeah,
Let's
it's
make
sad.
a Naked Peach commune.
Please.
Yes.
People to move to, and we can just have movement classes and do photo shoots, and all the little kids can play with each other.
Yes.
I love this.
Yeah, share resources and meals and all the things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Seriously, I read this book a few months ago where this woman lived on a women's compound. Like it was all just like people who this isn't a true story. But I just sounded like the most idyllic place on earth,
I
like
love that.
I mean, imagine like the Taylor Swift concert, like girls, gays, and theys. That's
Common.
it.
Yeah.
It'd
probably be such a
taking care of
supportive
each other,
place.
feeding each other, vibing.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, absolutely. Well, and then you run into like the issue with like specifically cis-het couples of, the birthing parent realizing how difficult it is having a baby with a cis-het man who also wants to be treated like a baby, who also wants to be taken care of, who also doesn't pull their weight around the house. So then not only are you having to recover and heal and repair and provide for this baby, but you're also supposed to provide for your husband. And like you hear all these stories, like people on TikTok will like nonchalant talk about dumb things their husband did during labor. And I'm like, that's weaponized incompetence, first of all, because your husband cannot be that dumb, but like also like dump him.
Also get a divorce.
Get a divorce because your husband should not. What was this TikTok? He brought her a bowl to throw up in because she's like, I'm going to throw up. And he brought her a doggy bowl, the doggy bowl where the food goes. Yeah.
Stop.
And then after labor or something like that, they asked her if she like had something to eat because like she was going to need to get her blood sugar up right away before they could bring her food. And she's like, yeah, I brought some granola bars, or I brought a granola bar, and she was eating it. And her husband's like, can I have half of that?
Stop.
Yeah. And then like,
No.
she made a TikTok after basically like justifying all of his things that he did. And I was like, you can't justify that shit.
No.
Like you cannot justify that. And luckily all my clients have had such amazing and like supportive partners who go above and beyond. But like when I nannied, I definitely saw a lot of dads basically be like, well, my wife just needs to get back to her old life. And I was like,
oh my God.
there's no old life.
I hate that.
Yeah.
This is it. This is it, buddy. You've got a child now.
So
like
gross.
you got to take care of yourself. And they're like, what's for dinner? And it's like, she's been feeding this baby with her body all day, and you have the audacity to ask what's for dinner?
Dude, I cannot.
Yeah. Also, like, I just remember when I was breastfeeding, especially in the first, like, while, maybe, like, 6 months, I was just constantly so fucking hungry.
Yes.
So it's, like, not only are you, it's like if someone's turning to you being like, you make dinner, and you're already starving anyway, and you're getting hangry, and it's just, like, it is horrible on so many levels.
Yeah.
Unacceptable.
No, well, I believe I might mess this up. I can't remember if it's in pregnancy or, I mean, I know it's within both. Like, how many calories you're burning. I mean, it's like, I think it's like equivalent to something of like doing a marathon of something that like close to like every day, because you really are. You're producing so much. You have to eat so frequently, drink so much water. Like, you're not just eating for yourself, you're eating for a whole other human.
Yeah.
In both pregnancy and afterwards. Like,
Wow.
yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Okay, well, now we're thoroughly depressed in some ways, but
It's okay. We're going to start our commune.
We're gonna start the
and
commune.
it's
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. And, you know, and now you know that postpartum doulas exist.
Yes.
And, you know, there are people that are just so excited to support people in their journeys.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be so hard.
No, like, you don't have to be alone. And I provide like a sliding scale. I also do a lot of pro bono shifts. Especially if I have enough paying clients. That's kind of my goal, is just to always have a little handful of pro bono shifts I can give to families who are either like in an emergency crisis, or like I had a client and something happened in her family and she was not sleeping, and I could tell it was impacting her. And so I was like, free overnight. Like, I'm coming over and you're sleeping. Like, I'm not going to have you go downhill from this experience when I can remedy this. And it doesn't matter, because work will come. Like,
Yeah.
we heard that from Amanda too, our other doula that we had on the pod, and it seems like all doulas are able to offer something if you just like talk to them and see if you can make it work.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure there's like some doulas where maybe they don't have as much wiggle room, just depending. But doula work in itself is community work, you know, and I personally could not turn someone away at such a desperate point of need. Like, I had a client, and it was just one pro bono overnight, but the parent had postpartum psychosis and had to be hospitalized and wasn't allowed to be around baby alone. And so I gave, you know, it was like just basically this, like, they sent a call out to our collective and we're just like, please, we need help. Like, if anyone can offer shifts. And I was just like, I'm there. Like, let's give them like the reprieve that they need. And it was just amazing. Like, it's very rewarding.
Yeah.
And just being able to see just them come back to themselves, you know, and what a difference that makes. And just to know that, I mean, that's really what's needed to, specifically for a lot of mood disorders specifically, is people need sleep. That's usually at the basis of it, is sleep deprivation will worsen all of those things.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, stress and not sleeping enough are like the worst things for everything.
Right. Like, I always imagine myself if I've had like a depressive episode or something, or I'm at a very low and I'm not sleeping well, and I have this high need from something. It doesn't even have to be someone, but something in my life. And I just am like, I'm done, you know, and then imagine that for like 2 weeks, you know, every single night.
It's so scary.
And it's like, oh my gosh, like that, you shouldn't even be allowed to drive when you're like at that point.
Wow. I feel like you're doing so much for so many different like groups of people at the same time, you know, because like you're helping all these parents, you're helping these dudes who want to get pegged.
Yes.
Dudes that want to see people fart.
Yep.
Which I'm sure they probably have to dig around a little bit to find people that are, you know, like willing to try to fart for them.
For sure.
So it's
Yeah.
You're helping people feel more confident.
Yeah.
And, like, you're just, wow, you're
doing it all.
Thank you.
an American treasure.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Or a national treasure.
National treasure, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do our obsessions.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Mine, you're not really going to be that into this week, but it's heirloom tomato season right now,
Oh,
and I
that's a
love
good
tomatoes.
one.
I know, Taylor,
No.
sorry, but I love them. I have been buying them every day, eating them in every way. It's It's the best. I love tomatoes, but I especially love them in season because when you get like the January tomato, it's just yeah.
They're like kind of mushy inside because they're just not as good.
Yeah.
No.
Also, like it makes me sad that you don't like tomatoes, just because I feel like you've eaten them probably in a lot of like bad tomatoes and in bad ways, and like that makes me sad because tomatoes like done well are like so good.
Yes.
And I grew up eating just a lot of like a traditional Bulgarian salad is really similar to like a Greek salad with like tomatoes and cucumbers and like feta cheese, and it's like covered in like vinegar and olive oil and salt and like parsley. It's like so flavorful and good.
Yeah.
And like it makes me sad for you. I'm just sorry.
It's okay. I have a lot of other things in life that bring me lots of joy and things that taste really good. No, Colin and I actually went to Negociant the other day, and he got the BLT, and he was like, "This is the best BLT I've ever had," and he had me try a bite of it. And like, I will try tomatoes like once a year, you know, just to see if it's changed. And it's like, I honestly think I have like a gene or something that like, it triggers my gag reflex when I eat tomatoes.
Wow.
Like my body just rejects it immediately, you know?
But like cooked ones you eat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the texture of a raw tomato.
texture.
It just is something like a switch flips in me, and my body's like, no, we are not eating this.
The really fine salsa, can you eat that?
Like restaurant salsa? Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like
It's
this
just the
slimy,
texture of...
gooey.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay, my obsession this week is the cinnamon roll at Shoe Fly Bakery. I don't know if we've ever talked about it on the podcast.
Oh my god. We could spend a whole pod episode talking about the cinnamon roll.
It's so good. It's a vegan cinnamon roll. And so I think one of the reasons I like it so much is that it doesn't have that like nasty cream cheese. To me, cream cheese is nasty.
Yeah.
Warm cream cheese, again, gross.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's like sweet and it tastes buttery.
It tastes
it's not buttery, but it tastes buttery. And
you would if somebody put it in front of me and didn't tell me the ingredients, I would full on believe it was like butter, all butter.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
you
it's
would never
completely
know.
vegan.
It's vegan.
Wow.
Yeah, it's because Shoe Fly is like a fully vegan bakery.
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
I've heard of
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So we have a friend who has a studio in that same building, and I was at his studio today. So whenever we're there, we always stop by the bakery to see if they have cinnamon rolls. I got the last one, and I had to get it because they're just so good. And I realized that like we've been gatekeeping this from the posse. So those cinnamon rolls are life
That's
changing.
good to know.
Yeah.
I will definitely have to go get one.
Go early because they do sell out
sell
really
out?
fast.
Okay.
Yeah,
Smart.
yeah,
I'll
and it'll be
definitely do that.
warm if you go in the morning.
Yes.
So
Oh
even
yeah.
better.
Oh, delicious. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Can it be it can be anything?
Anything.
Anything.
Literally
Yeah.
anything.
Okay. Definitely my new obsession is, have you seen What We Do in the Shadows?
No.
No.
Oh my gosh, it is so good. It's on Hulu. It's basically like The Office, but about vampires.
Okay, I'm
and it's
into this
modern
already.
day people living, like, it's like modern day, and these vampires who are like centuries old. And so they dress in like all like old garb, you know, like live in this like weird looking house. And there's a human familiar who is, his name's Guillermo, and he's like desperate to become a vampire. And so that's why he's still there, and he's like been there for like 10 years. And then there's an energy vampire, and his name's Colin Robbins, and he like basically drains people in conversations by being an energy vampire, and like his eyes light up, and he's like, it is so good because they have like interview moments where they get like interviewed, you know, and then like when they'll like look at the camera and stuff. It is so funny. Like, absolutely recommend.
Okay.
10 out of 10.
I love The Office, so
Yes.
I'm really excited about
And it's
this.
I'll be
like
watching.
even better because like you have like the vampires, you got like there's a couple that lives in the house and they're like super kinky and weird, and then like the other guy is like, his name's Nandor the Relentless, but he's like kind of a pansy in real life, you know, and so like he doesn't really live up to his name, and it's just really, really good.
Okay.
I definitely recommend, if you need a show to like binge watch, it's that one.
I do need a show.
Oh my God,
so
perfect.
I will be watching.
Absolutely.
I always need something while I'm editing, so this is
Yes,
great.
yeah, it is the perfect show for all of that. It's
God.
so
Wow,
good.
thank
I
you.
honestly might even go like because I'm all caught up, and I'm like now at the point where they release the new episodes. So I have to wait. I might go back and watch it from the beginning because it's that good.
As you should.
Yeah.
I mean, The Office is like one of those shows that you can rewatch over and over
Yes.
again. So I can
Yes.
see how like a vampire version would be the
Yes,
same way.
and it's like almost because like, you know, there's parts of The Office that like didn't age well. Like there will be episodes where you're like,
Like, they would have gotten canceled if that had come out in 2023.
Okay.
Yeah.
This one though you're not dealing with that, and you're like, oh my, it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm excited.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming here today. This was amazing.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
I feel like I learned so much today, but I really can't wait to start practicing some of this posing stuff.
I know, me too.
Where can the posse find you if they want to follow you?
Follow me on Instagram. It's Rainy Day 2.0, RAINEYDAE 2.0. That's like the best place, really.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All my links are in my bio there, and they can go peruse.
Yeah, you're allowed to say that on this podcast. Link
Cool. People can go, like, if they want to see my butthole, go look at those.
Perfect.
Yeah. So
you can find us at Naked Peach Boudoir on all the socials and nakedpeachboudoir.com. And you can find the podcast at peach.posse on Instagram and Peach Posse on TikTok. You can find me at T Smells.
You can find me at Anna McLaughlin Photo.
For now.
Yeah, maybe I'll get a second account soon. And we'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.